Hi everyone, welcome back to the US CPA classes for financial accounting and reporting. In this particular video, we'll be starting cash and cash equivalent as per US GAAP. This is part 1. Here, I'll be covering in detail about the definition of cash and cash equivalent, what all things you should be considering in cash, and what all things you should be considering in cash equivalent. So let's dive into part 1 of cash and cash equivalent as per US GAAP.
Hi everyone, welcome to the FAR class. Today we'll be covering cash and cash equivalent, first topic, and second topic we'll be covering trade receivable. So this is what the plan for today is. So cash and cash equivalent, as you know, in this there are two major topics. One is cash and cash equivalent. What is cash and cash equivalent is, and second is bank reconciliation is also part of this topic. So we'll be discussing both the parts in detail one by one. So first topic is cash and cash equivalent. Let's understand what is cash. Cash include, like we all know, coins, currencies, cash in hand, check-in account. So in India, how you have like saving account, in US we generally call it check-in account. So checking account where you can comfortably withdraw and deposit or do any transaction. And on the other hand, like what we call fixed deposit in India, in US we call saving account. So saving account basically where we deposit the money for the long term or maybe like short term deposit to earn the interest. So in checking account there are generally no interest, but on saving account there are interest. So that's the difference in terms of like usage of the words in US and India comparatively. So checking account, saving account, demand deposit with bank and other financial institution, it's all comes under the cash and bank account, or you can say cash account. It also include deposit that are similar to demand deposit and can be added to or withdraw at any point of time without any penalty. So all those things which is like currency, cash in hand, check-in account, saving account, demand deposit, or any deposit which is of similar nature is comes under the cash category. So in the financial statement, when you are reporting cash and cash equivalent, so all these items need to be clubbed together to present in the balance sheet, right? Make sense? Very simple.
Yes, sir.
So second thing is cash equivalent. So this is like sometime like student get confused. What is cash equivalent? Cash is very easy to understand. Anything and everything which is in your in hand as a cash or in your bank account in a very simple way, you can consider that as a cash. But sometimes people get confused. What is cash equivalent to be considered? So to broaden the definition of the cash to include like short-term, highly liquid investment that are both readily convertible to the cash and and so near their maturity when acquired by the entity within 90 days from the date of purchase that present insignificant risk of change in value. So one is the investment, short-term investment, or the other deposits which like original maturity. Here the question is original maturity. When you are purchasing, at that point of time their maturity should be less than 90 days. If their maturity is more than 90 days, then you need to evaluate whether to consider in the investment or need to be considering cash equivalent. But cash equivalent, you'll be considering only those items which is expected to be mature within 90 days, right? So that may include like money market fund, deposit held as a compensating balance against the borrowing arrangement with the lending institute that are not restricted. Second is commercial paper, treasury bills, or other non-negotiable instrument or certificate of deposit having the original maturity 90 days or less. So these all comes under the cash equivalent. So very simple. What is cash? Coin, currency, checking account, saving account, demand deposit, or similar deposit which is easily convertible into the cash. And what is cash equivalent? The investment which you have made with the original maturity date of less than 90 days. In a very simple word or very layman language, it may include your money market fund, deposits, commercial paper, treasury bill, certificate of deposit. All these things comes under the cash equivalent. right? Any
Sir,
doubt?
sir, two questions.
Hmm.
One, what money market fund? And two, can shares and securities held be also considered as cash equivalents?
Say that again.
Shares and securities can also be called as cash equivalents.
No, it's an investment.
Okay. And what is market fund?
Money market fund is equivalent to cash basically. So in which, like you can say like maybe 1 second, rather than just me judging on it quickly, we can do meet with our best friend,
Yes, sir.
right?
Nice.
Meet with your best friend.
वही देख रहा था मैं भी वही देखने लगा
So
था
money market fund is a kind of mutual fund that invests in a highly liquid near term instrument. So money market fund is an open-ended mutual fund that invests in a short-term debt security such as US Treasury bill, commercial paper. Money market funds are managed with the goal of maintaining highly stable assets through the liquid investment. So these are very liquid investment. You can say immediately you can convert into the cash like a treasury bill or a commercial paper.
Okay, sir. Got it.
It's not like shares.
Right, right.
Item not considered in cash and cash equivalent. Term certificate deposit, if the original maturity is more than 90 days, then it is not cash equivalent, it's part of investment. Or second is legally restricted deposit, held as a compensating balance against the borrowing arrangement with the lending institution. What is legally restricted deposit? Any idea?
लीगल डिपॉजिट मेरे हिसाब से तो वो हो गया कि कोई केस वेस चल रहा है तो मे भी हमारा फंड ब्लॉक कर दिया है कि ये एसेट्स आप सेल नहीं कर सकते, उसके ऊपर ही केस चल रहा है.
Yeah, that is also one of the example, like bond you need to submit for any litigation matter, or maybe you need to give EMD for any tender, right? So those all things comes under the legally restricted. That amount, even though the name is fixed deposit, name is bond, right? Name is maybe any treasury bill, but you cannot withdraw it because of certain restriction on it. So it may be like on account of, like you said, litigation matter, right? So court has requested you to deposit, let's say $100,000 as a security deposit or maybe bond deposit for a particular legal case. Or second could be, like you applied for a tender and you deposit earnest money deposit that you cannot withdraw until the tender is completed, right? So those all things are comes under a legally restricted deposit. Even though that's a fixed deposit, that may be a bond, that may be a commercial paper, that may be a treasury bill, but thing is that you cannot withdraw it at your own will, right? So you can withdraw it only upon completion of the respective responsibility or termination of the respective responsibility. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Now coming to the classification of cash, restricted cash and unrestricted cash. So same way, like extension of this, you can say the second point, legally restricted deposit, is called restricted cash, and restricted cash need to be disclosed separately, right? Any idea what is restricted cash?
सर रिस्ट्रिक्टेड कैश बेसिकली टाइप ऑफ वही हो गया जैसे अभी हम लीगली रिस्ट्रिक्टेड फंड्स बोल रहे थे, ऑलमोस्ट सेम लाइंस पे, थिन लाइन ऑफ डिफरेंस होगा. सो बेसिक इट मींस कि we have set aside some cash for specific use only, or created a reserve in our balance sheet, and it would be used for that particular thing for which reserve has been created.
Yeah, absolutely right. So restricted cash is basically you even though have cash, but that is being restricted for a specific purpose, maybe by the management order or maybe legal order or maybe on account of any arrangement with the third party. So like earlier, two example we were discussing, for any litigation matter, like let's assume any customer has claimed certain things on the company, right? And in the court has decided that you should deposit $100,000 to the court custody until the matter is being resolved, right? So even though it's your fixed deposit which you have deposited under the custody of the court, but you cannot withdraw it. So same way, legally restricted. So that is also called restricted cash. Second is like tender money, which we were discussing. And third could be, for example, for any, uh, um, I could think of, um, yeah, so maybe like sometime when we do like imports, at that point of time also, when we need to pay like this called duty, custom duty. For that also we give like certain advance called as duty advance. So even though it is like the money which you have deposited to the custom authority, but the final settlement upon, like when you finally receive the bill and you import the amount, at that point of time, the final calculation is being done. Till that time, it is being still as a deposit with the custom authority, right? Even though it's a fixed deposit or it is a bond, but you cannot withdraw it you can say without any restriction. So that also comes under the restricted cash. It can be on account of legal, it can be on account of tender, it can be on account of any commercial transaction, right? So the theme is that the money which you have, but you cannot withdraw that money comfortably, or you cannot use it freely for the business purpose, that is called restricted cash, right? So now look at like left hand side. It is that portion of the cash that has been set aside for a specific use or purpose. For example, deposit of tender or deposit against the import. Nature, amount and timing of restricted cash need to be disclosed in the footnote. So this is important disclosure when you are disclosing the cash. So first you need to disclose cash separately and restricted cash separately. And within the restricted cash, you need to give the footnote. And that footnote, you should be specifically mentioning that the restriction is for what nature, right? What is the amount? And the timing of restriction should be disclosed in the footnote. So amount you will automatically be disclosing. Like for example, if you guys remember the 10K, yep, there you go. So here is restricted stocks. Okay. So you have this financial statement with you. So let me see. Yeah. So if you see, yeah, in the cash flow also, there's a separate disclosure of restricted cash. Right? Can you all see this?
Yes, sir.
And now here in the cash equivalent and restricted cash, separate note and separate disclosure is being required. So I'm sure there would be some amount as well. Yeah, there you go. So here you can see restricted cash has separately been disclosed. Right? So the cash and cash equivalent, money market fund, and total restricted cash, this much amount, right? And if you, sorry,
इसमें मनी मार्केट फंड को अलग से क्यों लिखा है?
because that is cash equivalent.
Restricted
हाँ
cash का
So
बात
restricted cash include cash and cash equivalent, which is restricted.
अच्छा उसके सारे components तो आएंगे
All components. Yes, yes, yes. So if you see, there is explanation 1. No, sorry, it's a fair value level 1. Okay, it's a fair value with the level 1 because they are either in actual cash or in proceeds from the available for sale diseases and this loss available for sale diseases. We liquidate our remaining left in 6 months. So this is for A, B, and C. So restricted cash. Restricted cash include other current assets. Restricted cash including other assets. So there's a reconciliation as well for the restricted cash they have given. But ideally, they should have been disclosed for what this is being restricted.
right
That also need to be disclosed.
नोट्स में होगा नीचे
Sorry, might be in some notes. It will be there. So automotive, GM, restricted cash, current, non-current. In April, we renewed 362 million facility dedicated for GM Financial additional businesses, extended 3.6 billion in 3 year and 4 billion facility in additional expiring. The remaining portion is this. Under this, as a part of the extension of 3 year, 4 billion facility, we agreed not to execute any share repurchase. Well, this. In addition, we restrict from the dividend. This is something else. So restricted cash account to provide additional collateral borrowing for the facility weighted average interest. So this restricted cash is basically deposit. I don't see they have disclosed, but ideally they should have been disclosed.
Right.
The nature and you can say the timing of the restriction.
right
Another one is unrestricted cash, which is basically free cash, right? Free cash is available to use for the current operation of the business, right? So let's do a practice question here. The following are held by Mighty Company: cash in checking account, cash in bond sinking fund account $30,000, post-dated check from customer dated 1 month from the balance sheet date $250, and petty cash $200, commercial paper 7,000, certificate of deposit 5,000. What amount should be reported in cash and cash equivalent of Mighty balance sheet? So what all things should be coming in cash and cash equivalent? First is checking account 20,000.
yes sir
Right. Second is sinking fund account. Will it be part of cash and cash equivalent?
no
Right. Third is post dated check from a customer dated
yes
first month balance sheet date $250. That means next month की first date का like check है.
हो गया फिर हो जाएगा include 3
Sorry?
months 90 days में हो गया ना ये भी तो include हो जाएगा ये
No, look at the column. What amount should be reported as cash and cash equivalent on the balance sheet date? So this is a post-dated check.
अच्छा
So post-dated checks are not part of your cash and cash equivalent.
right
Yes, right. Next is petty cash. Yes, 200 that to be included. Third is commercial paper mature in 2 months. That also can be included.
yes
Certificate of deposit mature in 6 months. That means after 90 days. So that will not include. So 20,000, 7,000 and 200. These are the three items, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
So
what is bond sinking fund? ये क्या होता है?
bond sinking fund, yeah. Ayush, would you like to add something?
ये सर कुछ पढ़ा तो था, मतलब मेरे को ये पता है कैश कैश इक्विवेलेंट नहीं तो सिंकिंग फंड होता था ना,
Yeah, so
डिबेंचर
actually this is very old, like accounting. Nowadays sinking fund does not exist actually. So
Right.
sinking fund, earlier people used to maintain to repay the debentures or to repay any big liability. So like earlier days of accounting, people used to make a reserve fund for the big liability which they need to pay after certain amount of time. So those funds which they are reserving year over year were called sinking fund, and at the end the sinking fund is go and get settled to repay the debentures or long term debt.
बेसिकली रिडेम्पशन के लिए जो एक फंड क्रिएट कर लेते थे कि एट द टाइम ऑफ रिडेम्पशन वो यूज कर लेंगे, वही हो गया बेसिकली सिंकिंग फंड.
Yeah. For example, like Gurmeer has taken $100,000 loan from Ayush. And Gurmeer, this is for 5-year loan, and let's say 5% interest rate. But nowadays, like banking is so good, they can put you into the EMI, right? But earlier days, the banking system was not so robust. So, like the very simple agreement like Ayush and Gurmeer has made, that Gurmeer will pay $100,000 and every year he'll be paying 5% interest to the Ayush for the $100,000 which Ayush has given to him. Right now, after 5 years, how do you pay in a one go? So what you used to do, Gurmeer, like you used to create a reserve so that after 5 years you have sufficient amount to repay this liability. So that reserves are generally called sinking funds.
ओके ओके ओके. और सर ये मुझे टर्म कई बार मैं कल भी पढ़ रहा था नोट्स पेबल्स में. कमर्शियल पेपर एक बार समझाओगे होता क्या? मैं कई बार इसमें अटकता हूँ.
Commercial paper is also like very similar to, you can say bill payables or bill receivable. For example, let's say you have like big company can use the commercial paper. Generally, small company cannot, which has like very strong credit worthiness. So, for example, like let's say Amazon, you have given certain material to the Amazon, and in return to that, Amazon has given you the commercial paper, which you can go to the bank and encash. So that
तो उसका कुछ अच्छा matures in 2 months. So 2 months
within 3 months.
I can go. Okay.
If it is within 3 months, it is cash and cash equivalent. If it is more than 3 months, then it will go into the investment.
और अगर certificate deposit भी अगर maturity within 3 होती तो will include in cash.
Yes.
Okay.